Hello there. While the citizens of Charleston, South Carolina have reacted to unspeakable tragedy with grace and unity, others have sought to politicize the tragedy, with Bill Maher taking the lowest road, attacking Fox News Friday on his show. Well, let me welcome our awesome panel to discuss just this and all the other issues surrounding Jedediah Bila is a Fox News contributor and one of the co-hosts on Outnumbered. Michael Malice is the author of Dear Reader. And of course, tonight we've got Ambassador John Bolton, former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, a Fox contributor, and a friend of forests and poultry everywhere. Welcome.
If you say so.
I always say so, baby. I'm excited to get your take. I'm going to go to you first.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the fallacies that Maher and people like him are employing here. Not to mention, he's a total hypocrite when it comes to this stuff. But where is he wrong?
Well, there's a lot of ways that he's wrong. First of all, you can't blame Catcher in the Rye for John Lennon getting shot. You can't blame Marilyn Manson for Columbine, which they tried to do back in the day. Fox News is a popular network. The Drudge Report's a popular website. And you don't have any of those readers, acting in violent ways. So I think this speaks to the fact that most conservatives don't understand that progressivism is a religion. And in that religion, if you're a heretic, just like in any religion, you're one step away from being a murderer. Yeah. So if you are not as anti-racist as them, from their perspective, you're a dangerous, dangerous ticking time bomb.
Yeah, I mean, and this is such a horrific event. Obviously, people are trying to figure out how this happened, how to keep it from happening again. Who do you blame?
Well, I think it's clearly the individual who assimilated whatever he read from wherever he read it, but still drew the wrong conclusion, which is whatever you think about African Americans, there is no justification to kill them. I mean, it's just that simple. The notion that you can go from watching Fox News to a decision to murder 9 people in cold blood just ignores the reality. It's one person's twisted decision. So the statistics about the number of people who watch Fox News, even if this kid did, and his acts is about as significant as the percentage of people who watch NBC, ABC, and CBS and do the same thing.
All right, so, Charles Cook in National Review Online took issue with what Bill Maher said and said it's very easy to blame the left for, some of these other similar homicidal rampages, including Christopher Dorner. Can you blame here Maher's vitriolic atheism?
I think you have to blame the psychopath. Yeah. I mean, a crazy, sick, twisted, evil person can look at anything. They can look at a left-wing magazine, or they can look at right-wing television, and they can glean something psychotic about that because they're not in their right head. Yeah. So you could say that about everyone. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to destroy a whole movement and label a whole movement as causing someone to be violent when in fact we're dealing with a psychopath? That doesn't make any logical sense. And I think you're right. I think the left they treat it like a religion. And I think you're 100% right that when someone sways outside of that and disagrees with them, they have to find some reason to make them responsible for these horrific acts.
And some form of excommunication. It's almost like a cult.
Yes.
It really is. You have to do, say, and think exactly what we tell you. Otherwise, you are the other.
Collectivism.
Yeah.
At its best.
And it's no bueno. All right, well, speaking of collectivism, you may remember MIT economist Jonathan Gruber. The White House tried to downplay how closely he worked with the administration on Obamacare after this video surfaced.
Lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. And basically, call it the stupidity of the American voter or whatever. But basically, that was really, really critical to getting the thing to pass.
His voice is such an aphrodisiac. Yeah. Well, now emails obtained by the Wall Street Journal show that Gruber had a much bigger role and did work closely with the White House. I don't think this is a huge surprise, but John Bolton, can you blame the White House for downplaying the relationship? Even if let's say he was the architect. Let's say he was the guy who had the blueprints and got a ton of money, which he did. Can you blame them for stepping away from it?
Well, I think they're scared to death both of the political consequences potentially and the consequences in the Obamacare decision now pending based on what he said. And I think this goes to another aspect of contemporary liberalism. It's certainly in part a religion, but maybe even more significant for Obama, for Bill and Hillary Clinton, for Gruber. They're just smarter than you are. They're a lot smarter than you are. And you'd feel better, and they'd certainly feel better if you just do what they say. If they could centralize all decisions, they would do it. Barack Obama famously said he's better a researcher than his researchers, a better speechwriter than his speechwriter. And you can fill in the blanks. That is what really drives them. They're just so much better than you are.
Yeah, if only he were a better leader. But you think Gruber's a hero.
Well, he's a villain, but I'm going to sit here and defend villains because just because someone's a villain doesn't mean they're a bad person. And, you know, in a week when we have Alexander Hamilton about to be knocked off the $10 bill to have these attacks on elitism, I'm not going to stand it. The Constitution was founded in exactly the same way that Gruber did healthcare. Namely, they did not have the legal authority to throw out the Articles of Confederation. They did so under secrecy and in violation of the law. And then Luther Martha snitched to the press and exposed it all. So this has been the case for how American law has been made since the American government's been created.
Yeah.
This guy basically called everybody an idiot, though.
Is he wrong?
I mean, the administration.
Have you been outside?
Well, maybe people wouldn't have been so stupid.
talk about elitism, though. I don't just assume that everyone's an idiot because
it's not an assumption. It's based on fact.
they're not as
But
smart
no,
as me.
they shoved the law down everybody's throat. If people actually had the facts on this law, they wouldn't have had public support for it.
But they have
That's
the facts
whole
now,
point.
and there's been no consequences. So clearly, they're doing something
what
right.
are people supposed to do other than reflect in their polling that they don't like the law? People can't go up and say, well, you know what, we're gonna become Congress today. We're gonna
They're
amend the
supposed to
situation
get over
today.
the idea that government is the solution to anything.
Well, I think many have. I think that's why when you poll this law repeatedly, we see that people are saying no. The things that were promised to us have not come to fruition. Our costs aren't lower. Our quality of care is not better, and that's why it's not polling very well. But I mean, the bottom line is that he had to deceive in order to push this through, and the administration had to, of course, distance himself from this guy. What were we going to say? Yeah, we all thought you were a bunch of dummies too, so we just
Wouldn't that be
pushed
great
this
if they
through?
did, though?
But they
be great
effectively have. They
TV.
do that every politician constantly has to be like, I'm fighting for you. Fighting whom against whom? It doesn't make any sense.
Fighting the Washington machine.
Yeah.
Bring back the American
Right,
dream.
exactly.
That's
All
a
right,
great
well,
talking point.
Yeah, right? Don't worry, we're going to be back with the panel. We have a lot to discuss, including Brian Williams and Japanese robots. You will hear it from Ambassador Bolton. But first, oh, hi. Welcome back. According to new documents from WikiLeaks, a 2011 agreement between Sony Pictures and Marvel Entertainment includes a list of mandatory traits for Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Some requirements: Spidey cannot torture, he cannot kill, he cannot use the drugs, but more interestingly, he has to be white and straight. Like my panel. They're back, Jedediah Bila, Michael Malice, and Ambassador John Bolton. Michael, I'm a fan of comics, as you know, and I know that you are, but I'm quite sad I will never, at least in film, see a gay black Spider-Man. What does this all mean?
Well, I mean, I think when you're reading a book, you want the book to look like the movie. When we were kids, they would just go off, a total tangent, and it would drive me crazy. As an author, it bothers me. So it's perfectly appropriate for Marvel Comics to say, we're printing comics at the same time this movie's coming out. The person should look like the action figure, should look like the comic book, and it should have some kind of visual resemblance. That's not that weird.
All right, now, aren't you also looking for a Caucasian heterosexual, Jedediah?
Listen, Spider-Man is straight, and I can tell you that because I'm dating him. He is very much into the ladies. He wears glasses. He's very nerdy. He's a good boy. He's not supposed to be like Wolverine. You can't, if you change Spider-Man, you lose the essence of Peter Parker. And Peter Parker is supposed to be the good guy. He loves his Aunt May.
Oh, I see, Jedediah. So what you're saying is black gay people aren't
I'm
good.
not saying that.
I didn't realize that. Wow.
Not at all.
Shade of it all.
If you make him gay, he's not going to go out with me
Make him gay.
anymore.
You mean like Michelle Bachmann?
Oh,
No,
really?
if you transform him,
So you
he's
can
not
pray it
gonna want me
away,
anymore.
Jedediah.
Oh, wow.
I see
My
where
career
you're
is
coming
over
from.
thanks to this segment.
Yikes.
All right, now, Ambassador Bolton, we know that your mustache has superpowers of its own. Can you enumerate those for us, please?
No, I can't.
Okay, well, I guess it's a well-kept secret. Are you
It wouldn't be a secret if I enumerated them, would it?
I know, but I've been trying for years to.
Good luck.
Yeah, tell me what that white boomerang can really do. So tell me about Peter Parker. Do you think that there's any fire to this smoke?
Well, I'm not going to go see a movie if Spider-Man is white and straight. Of course, I'm not going to go see this movie if he's gay and black.
There you go. Boom! Came in from the side and did this. Wow. That's Ambassador Bolton dropping the mic. Well, speaking of Brian Williams, he has come to an agreement with NBC that will see the former nightly news anchor stay with the company, but he's going to move over to that rickety old shack known as MSNBC in his first interview since being suspended for numerous inaccurate statements. Well, he spoke with Matt Lauer on Today. The two of them together, yay.
Came from clearly a bad place, a bad urge inside me. This was clearly ego-driven, the desire to better my role in a story I was already in.
I don't even know what to make of it. I mean, I'm not, as you know, I'm not a licensed psychiatrist, but I have a pretty good grasp on the human psyche, and I think this guy is kind of full of malarkey nonsense. I think that NBC has beaten him into the ground. I really do. I think they've beaten him into the ground. They made him feel so bad with this public investigation going over all that tape over so many decades, and they were like, liar, liar, pants on fire. He felt so bad, he took a demotion and a pay cut. What do you think?
Well, this is like saying that first prize in the contest is a week in Philadelphia and second prize in the contest is 2 weeks in Philadelphia. The idea that they're sending him to MSNBC is, I mean, it's worse. Why didn't they just send him to a salt mine and get it over with?
Yeah, they really should have, because that is a great exfoliant. Now, why can't he just say he lied? Why does he have to say, well...
Well, I mean, given this boosting of his resume and all this, you know, retroactive history writing, I'm starting to wonder if we know anything about him. Was he really the former First Lady? Do we know that he's been Secretary of State? I'm going to have to reread his books and just, you know, with a fine-tooth comb go through the data.
Was he really the third person on the moon?
Yeah.
He identifies as being the third person on the moon. I mean, if you can be black by identifying, why not Brian Williams?
I
Wow.
know that there's a mental illness where people feel like Brian Williams. You know, it's like sometimes I feel like a sandwich.
Williams
Sometimes
disease.
I feel like Brian Williams.
I do not have that illness.
All right, so Jedediah, I know that you are a warm-hearted, kind, good person. Don't you, on some level, feel a little bad for him?
I mean, I do feel a little bit of empathy, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I want to know everything he lied about. I do. If you're
Yeah.
going to hold a prestigious position, I mean, you're going to be an anchor. People need to have some sense of confidence in you, and I feel like transparency is key. Now, if everything were revealed that this guy lied about, it would
Yeah.
be over for him. There would be absolutely no coming back.
But do you buy the ego excuse? I mean, I think that's such a weird thing for him to be like, well, I just got so wrapped up
No.
in the network news.
No,
Just lost myself.
He seems like a compulsive liar. I mean, it seems like he has a problem.
In a
that
good
he's
way?
compelled
Well,
to lie.
no, not in a good way. The name of my biography is Ego and Hubris, and I'm not going to sit on national television and make up stories. That's disgusting and unacceptable.
Oh, but it'd be really fun.
It's great television, though.
All right, a robot that can detect and react to human emotions debuted in Japan for around $1,600. The cute-looking robot named Pepper. It's known as a robot with a heart. Uses voice and touch to analyze facial expressions, body language, yeah, body, and words. Now, Pepper went on sale Saturday. Only 1,000 units were sold, and they sold out in less than 1 minute. This is pretty incredible, I have to say, because robots are obviously taking over the world. And Jedediah, I want to know. I mean, this is a given. They're coming for us. What do you want from your robot?
Well, I think it's sad, first off, because I feel like we're very needy. We need constant reinforcement. What we're not getting from our mom, our dad, our boyfriend, now we're looking to robots. With that being said, if you can do
Fleshbot,
this,
yeah.
where is my Terminator? I've been asking for this for months, for years. I want a robot. Remember in Terminator 2, when Arnold almost gets the emotions? He
Yeah,
gets the
almost.
feelings?
Yeah.
He almost
He
feel
almost
like
had that as
he's human. I
California
want that.
governor. Too bad he didn't have the confidence.
I want a robot that can defend me and can protect me and can love me.
Oh, Ambassador
I want it
Bolton,
all.
I know that you know the globe better than any person I know. So are they missing something in Japanese culture that they have to invent some external digital device to feel for them?
Well, I did notice in my extensive research for this particular piece that the cost of this robot is roughly the cost of having a dog in an urban area in Tokyo. So maybe there is some hidden need that's being filled here. But I have to say, I'm very worried about the direction this is going in. This is obviously the crudest version, early, very much experimental. This is only going to get worse as time goes by.
No, worse or better, depending on your needs.
Speak for yourself.
Well, all right. Now, Michael Malice, should the Pope really be fighting against a robot society?
Well, absolutely, because when I was in high school for a month, I thought it was edgy, and I read about the Church of Satan and their 5-point plan.
Wait, hold on. I spit at you 3 times.
Okay.
And 3 more for good measure.
And the number 4 in their 5-point plan was the creation of synthetic artificial human companions. So this is what the Pope needs to be fighting, and not air conditioners.
Okay, or gun manufacturers.
Yeah, or or anything else, frankly, but that's a subject for another day.
Yeah, or global climate change.
Yes.
I mean, maybe this is where the real...
Or capitalism.
Oh, capitalism. Oh, do you love capitalism, Ambassador?
Of course. Let me go back to the Pope. Do you think he's going to disarm the Vatican guards, the Swiss guards who have laid down their lives for of popes over the years,
No.
using firearms, I might say.
No.
Do you think all that's
Do you
going
think
away?
those people who are protecting and defending him, these faithful people, do you really think that they're not good Christians?
They're all Muslims.
I didn't realize that.
They may be Swiss, but they're all Muslims. It's been true for 500 years.
It's, you know, I normally don't like to racially stereotype, but the Swiss Muslims are the ones you really got to look out for.
I just want to know why the robot looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Why did they make it look like that?
It's
If
Japan, they've got
supposed
weird
Come on.
anime.
They should have made it like a hot robot. I
Well,
mean, I
just
feel
They
like,
have
Jedediah?
those.
like a really
They have those in
sexy
here.
robot.
We have them here.
That would
Yeah.
incentivize me to
Brian
use
Williams. Okay, thank you so much. It's so great to see you all.
Thank you.
This night has been one of the best of my life.